What's the agreed upon sale price for the 5 acres?
It's $300,000.
Wouldn't a long-term lease provide the same?
You know, again, we looked at it from an economic perspective. It was economically better for Sullivan to acquire the land than to
With
lease
a
it.
lease, you'd be out of pocket less.
You'd be out of
How's
pocket
that
less.
economically better?
Well, it's economically, from the perspective of Sullivan, it doesn't give a cash influx to Farmington, which is what the $300,000
I understand. How's that economically better for Sullivan?
From Sullivan's perspective, it would rather own it rather than lease it.
Okay.
Long term, you're even into a 20 or 30-year lease, and we develop the property further on the assumption that we'll have the property to use over here for parking, and then 20 or 30 years, and that goes away for some reason, and that does us real harm. We end up overbuilt for the property.
And are there then deed restrictions on the property as part of the sale?
Currently, there are none.
I'm Jim Mims. I had a engineering firm that did a lot of work for Sullivan, did the library, did the West Campus. I don't think that's going to affect my involvement in this discussion.
You're not here to try to take over the property, are you? No, we're just, trying to do our civic service good. And we just never thought about it. It was just never a consideration. So we were really surprised when we got the letter from her.
I want to make sure that this plan initiated, everybody knows, this plan initiated when the board president was brother-in-law of President Sullivan. And then the second thing is, Sullivan's parking needs right now are being met. They have a west parking lot. I don't know if they've given a plan for what they own on the other side of Bardstown Road, but they have a shuttle, and it works fine, and it's meeting their capacity. If they need more parking, it's because they're planning on building another building. Maybe they could address their parking needs for the other building on a different parcel of property where Lincoln did not spend time. That's not a national landmark. And thank you very much.
Why would you not use grass paving on the entire parking area?
Okay, but the grass pavers, it's my understanding that they will not do the trick because they.
What do you mean? They will not drain?
And I'll let Mark answer that part. Do you want to answer that too? Okay.
I'll deal with that. Pavers, as we're saying, we're putting in one area. The area we're putting the pavers in is the area that will be used for roadway purposes, where cars driving back and forth, not for pedestrians. The events that they try to put on here, for example, weddings as an example. You get a lot of people in hard shoes, ladies in high heels. The grass pavers is just a grass surface, basically. It's got a grid underneath it, so there's all the opportunities. If you get a wet day, they're going to just go right into the mud. So you still end up with a muddy condition if you're not real careful. Also, as mentioned earlier, I think it was Mr. Troyer said it, is without having some control as to where all the specific parking spaces are, it's just like parking in a field again, and you don't get the maximization of vehicles into that parking area. So you need those stripes are really very important to do that. The final part of that is, and everybody acts like cost is never an issue, but it really is. That's one of the reasons we're here today, is that we got some pricing on it, and the grass pavers are about 40% more than the asphalt. So it's a significant additional cost to do this.
Letter received today from Lori Stahlgren at 2221 Eleanor Avenue, 40205. I would like to convey my objection to the plans proposed by Farmington Historic Plantation to expand their parking lot. To follow the plans proposed would be to destroy both the setting and feeling of Farmington as a National Register property. While I understand the need for Sullivan to have more parking and Farmington's need of funds, the proposed plan would be the death knell of Farmington as a viable museum. Farmington was not simply the Speeds in the main house, but also those enslaved African Americans who lived and worked the plantation. If this plan is implemented, a large portion of the place where those enslaved peoples lived and worked will be paved over. The This is simply just not acceptable for a museum that claims to want to interpret those very lives. Besides the destruction of the setting and feeling of the plantation, such a plan would also destroy archaeological resources. An archaeological survey or full-scale excavation must be conducted on all areas that will be utilized as parking. This proposal comes on the heels of the construction of a brick patio behind the kitchen at Farmington. This patio is meant to help provide a place for events when Farmington is rented out. To my knowledge, no additional archaeology was conducted prior to the installation of the patio. Some testing was conducted in 1997, but nothing further. It seems that the decisions are made solely to facilitate the use of the property as a rental space with little to or no consideration of the historic setting, integrity, future research, or exhibits. To see such an important part of Louisville's history be slowly destroyed is disheartening, but the Commission can help prevent this by voting against the proposed project. And then one last one.